Today we've come to honor the final resting place of Robin Pelkey.
On August 18, 2022, Robin Pelkey's headstone was set in place, replacing the Jane Doe No. 3 plate that had marked her grave for years. Pelkey was one of serial killer Robert Hanson's victims. In 2021, using genetic genealogy, the Alaska State Troopers were able to discover her identity. She had been referred to as Horseshoe Harriet for 37 years, because of where Hanson had left her body, near Horseshoe Lake.
I think today is meaningful because for so long, she was only known as Horseshoe Harriet or Jane Doe. I think it's so important to have her name given back to her, her identity, so her story can be told. She was meaningful. She meant something to her family. Now she means something to all of us.
Glad that we could finally do this for her and her family, and it just kind of puts a bookend to a very, very long case, a lot of work that went involved in this, and just very, very satisfied and grateful to have been participating in this case, and glad to finally give her name back.
Thank you, and thanks for being here today.
The rape and murder of Sophie Sergi in 1993 in Fairbanks was the first case in which the Alaska State Troopers utilized genetic genealogy. That case is very near its conclusion.
2018, we submitted a DNA sample, suspect DNA sample for genetic genealogy analysis. This was the very first case in Alaska that we ever tried this. Late in 2018, they developed a DNA profile. It was uploaded into the GEDmatch database, and we got some information that led us to Stephen Downs. Through further investigation, we confirmed he was living in Bartlett Hall at the time of the murder. He lived the floor above. And then a bunch of other bits and pieces of information that clearly pointed to him being the suspect. We located him in Maine in 2019. Went down there, spoke to him, got a DNA sample directly from him, did a direct comparison and to the DNA sample from the crime scene, and it was a direct match. And then shortly thereafter, he was placed under arrest and eventually extradited back to Alaska.
The defendant in the case, Stephen Downs, was tried in February 2022 in Fairbanks. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder and first-degree sexual assault. His sentencing is scheduled for the end of September.
It's good to see somebody hold somebody accountable for something terrible. I mean, I'm sure he thought he got away with it, and he even said something to the effect when we were talking to him. Why are you talking to me now? It happened so long ago. It's like, this is so old. Leave me alone. But there's no time limit on murder, and who knows what other future technologies will come along, and maybe cold cases will be things of the past. Hopefully, that things won't go unsolved, but we'll see.
Genetic genealogy is a tremendous forensic tool for the Alaska State Troopers to identify both the perpetrators of unsolved homicides and their unidentified victims.
Right now, Alaska State Troopers has 43 sets of unidentified human remains that were found all over the state. We're in the process now of identifying as many of those as we can. We have approximately 11 that have gone through the first process of identification, and then from there they'll move on to the next process, the next lab. Eventually we'll get those profiles back, and we'll be able to upload into GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA and build family trees to hopefully identify them.
If anyone is interested in learning more about their own family tree, the process for creating an account is simple. The genetic genealogy website you select will send you a kit. You send them a swab or vial of saliva. You then use their online tools to find relatives in their database. You can use private companies and their websites, or you can upload your DNA profile to the public databases at GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. Genetic genealogy as a forensic tool for the Alaska State Troopers would not be possible without the assistance of the private citizens who have placed their DNA profiles in the genealogy databases that are accessible to law enforcement. The more profiles that are accessible in the databases, the greater the chance these types of cases will be solved.